So here basically we will see that how we can use that as a generator type, right? Rather than to uh, give that value from our side, correct? So it is very difficult to give the value and maintain the current state of any primary key, right? And majorly we can use a sequence, or maybe we can just use that auto generated like this, right? So in the production, you will see majorly we can use that sequence. So you create a sequence and then you can use the sequence and you can specify. But before that, we will see how we can use auto generated, right? So here as a Postgres is a concern, right? Here you can use as a generation type as an identity, correct? And so as of now, one more thing I just wanted to tell you that you add this one more property here, hibernate show SQL as a true, so that it will show you all this what we can call as what are the SQLs are getting generated for each and every command. So I will remove this one. Okay. Are you getting my point? So hibernate show SQL is basically so that you can track that how many SQL commands are getting generated here. Okay. Now, if you will see here, so we have this department table and here we are using a generated type as an identity, correct? And as of now, I have also commented out this, right? So it will not every time it will generate it, right? So what is the meaning of HBM to DDL2 here? So there are many such other values also, right? So none means no action is performed, the schema will not be generated. If HBM2, right, DDL, correct? Are you getting my point? So there is a create only, the database schema will be generated, create, drop, the database schema will be dropped. The database schema will be dropped and created afterward. So every time you create, so it will be basically that older schema basically getting dropped and you are creating a new. So if you are trying to select on that again, yes, I'm just checking it. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Not able to see? So none is basically right. So as of now, you need to understand that do you really wanted to use it? Correct. So if you will see most of the people, we are using it for our own learning purpose, correct? But majorly people don't use it, right? Don't use it means if you really wanted to change the schema or things like that, you have to go into an SQL, into your editor and then update it, correct? So don't try to update it basically, or you can also use that update only. So rather than create, drop, create, so we should use only the update, right? Update means is basically if you have any other changes. Got my point, everybody? Right? So if every time you use as a create, so what will happen here? All this older data and tables, everything is getting deleted and it is coming up. So do you want it to see? So I can just show it to you. So if I will again uncomment it here. Right? And I have also started logging here. So let's say in department operations, correct? So let me save it. And this department operation here. So we are creating a department, right? Run as a Java application. You see? Are you guys are able to see or not? So you see it is a drop table. Then it is basically a creating a table here. So you see all these queries, how this JPA is basically using that, creating a table. So internally, what are the queries are getting fired here? So if there is a something it is not matching here, you can take this query and put it into your editor and try and validate it. Right? Everybody got it? So now this table is being created. If I will run again, correct? So again, there will be a basically a table is getting. So why these all these tables are getting created, then dropped and again created? Because these many entries we have given into a persistent.xml. Yes or no? Right? So all these entries, association and everything, you will see it here. So now if you will see, coming back to the point here. So as of now, whenever we are specifying as an identity, correct? It is auto incremented, auto generated here. You don't need to maintain anything. Clear? So when I'm basically trying to insert here, you will see there is, I'm not setting up any name or any particularly ID here. Right? So if I will again run, so let's say if I run first thing. So you can also make a debugger point. And here I will say dot set ID is, let's say, is for 1. So what is happening here? Every time, as I told you, right? Whenever we are running this, it will again generate it. You will see it will drop the tables and again generate it. Correct? Now, do you also see there is some problem here? Detached entity passed to a persist, right? So when we are saying this detached entity, right? Because this ID is already 1 and we are saying it is automatically generated here. Are you getting my point? So we don't need to provide. So taking it is considering it is already persisted. Are you getting my point? So whenever we are using that particularly an identity, we should not use this, don't need to set any ID here. Clear? So I am removing this ID. Now, so this is a one way to create that. There's another way we can use and we can see. So let's go to our first validate the data. Do we have that select star from department? Correct. So this department you see. Right? Because as of now, there is a no data inserted here. Because we got some error, detached entity. Yes or no? Now coming back to again, we will go here and we'll see. So I remove that ID is a 1 and again we are running it here. Correct? Now, if you will see again, insert into a department and this is a query has been, right? And we are inserting only name and value is 1. So we are not inserting that value for a primary key. So if you will just go and see like this, right? You see 1 and admin. So this is a one particular way. So till now there is another way, right? Coming back to us. So I am uncommented. Now we don't want it to basically ठीक है, we will is for department. So I will comment out this and I will uncomment it here. So basically we wanted to generate that particularly through a sequence. Okay. Are you getting my point? Here it will be ठीक है. So there is a project ID sequence generator. So how the sequence is being created? So you can come to a here and you can see for create a sequence project ID generate sequence, right? Project ID generator increment by 1. Are you getting my point? So it will every time it will increment or like this. Got it? So in that scenario, what will happen here? If you wanted to get that what is the current value of a sequence, so you can say get current value or maybe the next values like this. So if you wanted to get that current value, what is the current value of this sequence? So next value is basically a 1. Okay. What is the current value? So current value is also basically a 1 here. Okay. So every time you will get that, it will increment by 1. Are you getting my point? Right? So using this sequence, you can also say increment by 2. So it will increment by 1, 3, 5, something like that. So your IDs will be like this, 1, 3, 5 like this. Okay. If you increment by 5, so every time. Got my point? Right? So if you will just go, so you can define already and you can also say, you can start from which particular position. Do you want to start from 0 or 100 or where it is? That is also you can specify a sequence. Okay. Now here is also you can specify, right? For this allocation size is 1 and you can specify that the name of the sequence. So this generator type value is basically for generator type is associated with this name and the sequences which is we have created into a database. Okay. So for that you need to understand what is this property means. Now, if you will just basically run this again. So if you will see, right, we have commented or not. It's again, we have done as a create as of now. Okay. Department operation. Run as Java application. So you see, select next value from the project ID generator. And now it is inserting into a department name and ID both and values. Are you able to see here? Huh? When you are inserting it. So it is taking the next value from that project ID generator and then it is inserting with your as a ID, right? When it is trying to insert it. So this is the basically if you are using, so idea is, and don't use this one sequence for a multiple, what we can call as the tables. So ideally you should have a separate sequence for separate tables if you are using a sequence. Otherwise you can use as auto generated, right? That ID and then you can try and you can use it. Clear? So till now it is all about that your sequence and it is for this. Now we have also discussed one thing is related to a lazy loading. So we have discussed earlier with the company and that your account here, right? So one to many relationship. So we have specified target entity as an account dot class, but you can also specify that do you want that lazy loading or eager loading? So if you are defining as a lazy means it will be fetch the details the time you want actually, right? Means whenever you need it. So that's why we have just enabled that so HQL so that you can understand when this query is getting fired here. Right. So as of now, for this company table, first we will see is this a data is available or not. I guess because every time we run it and it is deleting the data and table and creating a schema. Right. So select star from company. Clear? No data available. Right. So here we will first insert the data. So in company operations, I will just comment out this, right? All this demo and everything. Okay. And again, I will insert this data. Okay. Okay. And I will insert this data. And also I will remove this property for HBM2 DDL. So you can see company operations. Okay. So I created two accounts. I insert these two accounts first, and then we will basically insert that company. Okay. So when I insert it, so what I will do it here, I will run. So let's here in this company table, we are not using any ID generator or we are not using anything in place of a ID here. So we are inserting this time in ID here, right? So ideally it is a wrong way of doing a practice, right? But as a learning point, we just do it. So I will run. Correct. So you see, now this time you see there is a no drop or create table. It is right. It is a directly insert statements. So in the insert statement, first it is inserting into a company, then it is inserting into an account, then it is inserting into a company and account because there is a third table it has been created. Correct. So this way you see these many queries, 5 queries has been fired here. Correct. For when you are inserting a one particular record here. So how many queries? 5. Now here also I will just say here, again I will say here, let's say 4 and here I will say 5. Here I will say 2. Here I will say haptic. And I will change the name. Here is also 4. James Smith. ठीक है, here current. So what will happen here? Now again I am persisting it here. Run as a Java application. So we will see two more records. So total another 5 queries will be getting fired. Correct? So let's go to a database here. So in database, we will see account. There is also account, customer account table is also getting created, right? So see two. In this also you will say select star from account. Right? So you see there is a 4, correct? And there is a account, customer account table is also there. Right? Joint column has been created here. So the idea is, as of now, we have the data. Now we wanted to verify that what is the actually meaning of a lazy loading. Here. So I will remove this code, whatever we have created for a create. So I'm just commenting out here. And here we will try to get the data. So first I will try to get that list of, company, and then from the company I will get that list of accounts. Correct? So if you this find method, we specify the ID, we specify, and then we will get the company object. Right? Select star from company. And then I will print the name of the company, and then I will say c dot get accounts, because we have the mapping also here, right? One to many on the accounts. Clear? And here we have specified is fetch type is a lazy. Means whenever we need it, only then we will basically get this account. Are you getting my point? Whenever we need it, whenever we use this account, till only then we will basically get from the database. Right? So that there will not be additional queries will be getting fired. Right? So that is one of the performance improvement here. Clear? So if in this code is for company operation, if you will see here, I will comment out this one here, these two lines. So if you are using that company account, right? So are we using accounts here? We are just using a name and the ID only, right? Not account at all. So ideally it should not fire, it should not get this any account related data. Java application. So you see select company ID as ID, company name, and from the company where company ID is this. Do you see any, and company name is capg and there is a ID is 1. So like this, so there is only a company related data we are getting it. यहाँ पर फायर नहीं हुई है, right? Yes or no? So in that scenario, it is basically because you specified as a lazy eager fetch type as a lazy. But if I will basically say that I wanted to use these accounts and I wanted to process and I wanted to print something. Correct? So you see after this line, then you will see when I will try to use this account, then it is basically these queries will be getting fired here. Correct? You see after company name, so select company name, this, then it is basically we print that company name and ID here. Correct? Company name and this ID. Huh? Then again, when we are trying to use that particular account, then it is firing these queries for the accounts related. This query is being fired here. You can also copy this and then we print this account name is Fale here. Are you getting my point? So this is the basically a concept of your lazy loading here. Now there is also, we can understand that what is, if we will not specify, then what is the eager loading? So what is the eager loading? Correct? So eager loading, I will just go to a company here and I will change that here fetch type as a eager. Okay. So fetch type, it is a eager. So in that scenario, it will get all the company or account and all this data in one shot. Either we are using the data or we are not using, but it will fire these additional queries and all these details. So company operation, and I will run this. So if you will see here, select, now this time you see the query. This query is basically select company ID as ID, company name, then account one dot company ID, and like this complete query with this join is basically they have fired here. So all this data with accounts and everything, it is basically got it into a one shot. Whenever we populate the company, at the same time we are populating accounts also, even though we required or we don't require. So these are some additional performance overhead when we are trying to basically connect to database and firing a query. Okay. So ideally, you don't need to do anything here. You just need to understand the concept here and you need to specify just the details into a, when we are specifying that particularly a one-to-many. Now there is another concept of a cascading here. So cascade operations, when you are doing something onto a parent table here, you also working onto a child table. If I will remove the data of a company, it will remove the data of accounts also associated with that company. So like this, there can be a merge different operations. So how much cascade operations we will support it? Refresh, persist, and remove. Right? So if this will be any operation we are trying to do it, then it will be basically, it will be into a cascaded mode. So whatever we perform on company, it will also perform, they perform into a account as a cascading. Correct? So you just need to specify what is the cascade type. So you can define a multiple cascade type or you can remove also, right? Or you can specify single also. That's not a problem at all. I have specified merge, refresh, persist here, right? You can remove and you can increase also. It's up to you. So I will remove this refresh also. So it will be a merge, persist, and remove. Okay. Now, idea is when we delete, so we will see if we will delete that company, right? It should also delete their accounts. Correct? Which is associated with this company ID 1. So for remove, we use that entity manager dot remove. So if we use the entity manager dot remove, we can just say run as a Java application. So you see, it is firing a query, delete, right, from the company account, delete from the account, and delete from the company. Right? 4 delete queries has been issued here. right? So if you wanted to validate this data, so you can see, so there should not be any data related to account for a company ID 1. So there is no such data here, right? If you will see company ID, so no data. You can also say select star from company account. Right? So company ID only two. One ID has been removed and associated account also has been removed here. Right? So you see because of this. Right? So that's why you can also enable that you are so SQL, right? And then you can see what are the queries is being fired when you are changing that properties here. So this is basically is all about cascading, lazy loading, and also for eager loading, lazy loading. And apart from that, your primary ID, generator type and all.